So my talk is called like a flying with bags. No problem. The reason is that what I'm going to talk about is something that is called ancillaries. And I'm going to get to it, what it is and what do we do here. But first, a little bit about me. My name is Jakub Wolf. I'm an engineering manager for Ancillaries Tribe over here in Kiwi. And I'm also a Prague side lead, obviously in Prague. I've been in Kiwi for about 5 years already, more than 5 years. And I started as a backend engineer. And I guess my favorite code editor is Vim. Let's start a little bit more about the ancillaries. What it is, why do we do it, and what does it do? So ancillaries is anything you can actually give, you can purchase along with the product, as a product along with a flight. It's available on all platforms, and it creates a significant portion of the revenue. What it is, usually it's like a baggage, seating, fare types, or anything you can imagine that it's can be added to the flight. Right now, it's mostly those that I mentioned. That's from the product perspective, and I'm going to be a little bit more explaining. I started to talk about what is it problem to flying with the bags, and to a little bit say about the complexity of the issue and what the engineering needs to deal with when we flying with the bags. I'm going to explain a little bit more where the challenge lies on. So as you know, flying is very connected to Kiwi. We connect multiple airlines that do not cooperate with each other, and we call it virtual interlining. Imagine you're flying on your journey, you have a Spirit airline, which is like the first leg of your flight. Then you go with the next one, which is Frontier, a different baggage. You still have to carry the baggage because it's the same journey. And then you have a JetBlue, which has another type of a baggage. I think for those of you who are very smart, you already know the problem. It's that you actually have to combine 2-3 baggage to actually fit into one. So that's pretty much where the challenge lies on. And as long as it looks simple, it's actually not. The complexity over here is that the virtual interlining and the fact that airlines offer many types of baggage. In Kiwi, we have the engineer part is actually looking into making the algorithms that combines the baggage and looking for the data. That creates the challenge in itself. Is creating the low latency, high volume API service. What does it mean, low latency? We are talking about 1 to 5 milliseconds. It's written in Go, so that's why that's so good. And the high volume, we are talking about on the booking page for about, let's say, small thousands or big thousands when the traffic is really high of requests on API per minute. So let's say 5,000 requests per minute, 10,000 requests per minute, depends on the time of a day or the time of the year. It's another challenge is data management. We're using heavily like a Redis or Postgres, where we're storing the data in terms of like dimensions, prices, availability. And this is another set of challenges as we need to figure out what are the prices at the right time, where does it go, and when you're gonna hear Jirka talking about the search, the principles are about the search and how we search for flights. The principles are very similar. The stack is built on top of the Golang to make it fast and reliable. A Python to make it actually be able to do some complex algorithm with easy code, so don't go too deep and be still wide open to all engineers in Kiwi. We are running on top of Kubernetes, that means Docker, and the front end is obviously in React and mobile application in Kotlin and Swift. I'm not going to go a little that much into front end part, as Tobias, who was here before, touched a little bit, and we have a lot of connection with teams under his supervision. The interesting project we have over there is a multiple bag options, which is kind of not easy to actually, first of all, to offer it and also to sell it in terms of like a UX design and precision pricing to actually decrease the discrepancy between what we buy the bags for and what we offer it. There is another one I'm not mentioning, but if you were listening the general talks, Petra Vaškovic mentioned that, and that's the transfer of the bags at the airport site. we hope we're going to get back to it after COVID is back. So next time when we have an open house, I hope I'm going to be able to talk about it. Other ancillaries we as the teams in ancillaries dealing with is a check-in on behalf of customer, complete check-in and process providing boarding passes, seat selection, let the customer choose his favorite seat in the flight and for all the flights in the journey, and insurance and packages to create a peace of mind for your entire journey. A little bit more about each of them. And again, I'm going to focus more a little bit on backend, but it doesn't mean that the front end is less important. It's just that Tobias already spoke a little bit about that. Check-ins, it's if you ever flown with any airlines, check-in is a process that you have to do in order to board a plane. We do it on the behalf of a customer where we provide for the whole journey the boarding passes. It creates challenges in terms of a lot of customer flows and a lot of business logic. Check-in is a complex service where you need to keep the status for many months before the actual flight is happening. And for your imagination, to have a little bit picture, what does it mean, a lot of, and what the complex processing. We are checking around between 100 and 200 seats per week. In the low times, with the higher times, it's much more. So it's a lot of processing and downloading boarding passes and providing into the front end. The stack is built on top of Python and Kubernetes and React. Due to heavily being pipeline in terms of like how the checking out process over time, we are using Celery pretty heavy. We even try serverless sometimes before, although we abandoned it due to some complications, but it's still in consideration that sometimes might make sense. One of the interesting projects being released right now is mobile boarding passes, where we actually creating mobile boarding passes ourselves based on the information we have from the airline, from the regular PDF boarding pass. So that was kind of hacky and interesting project we've been working for last year. Another one I'm going to briefly touch is the seating selection. It offers the seats to the customer for all flights. The challenges over here is again, because we offer it on a booking page, it's a low latency, high volume API service where the biggest challenge is to get the accuracy of data. And by accuracy, I mean is if the seat is available or not. We have several sources where we are getting this availability, and we need to provide it to the front ends in a reasonable time to actually make it work. So there is a lot of caching, and it includes smart caching as well to make it pretty good and stable. Stack is built on top of Python, running on Kubernetes and GCP, and front end on React, or on mobile application, the regular stack. Interesting project right now is the seating selection of mobile apps. It's a quite complicated data structures that we need to provide to mobile clients. So it has been pretty much fun to actually figure out how to represent those data structures over there. And the last one I'm going to touch briefly, it's a little bit different in terms of the stack. This one is about the products around insurance and packages. There are a lot of integration especially for the insurance, where we have the outside providers, and for the inside packages, it creates a little bit more fun over there in terms of like playing with the processes in the between the services inside the Kiwi. The stack is built on top of Node.js, so there is a difference. We also use actually JavaScript for the backend. It's running until now in serverless, but we are and DynamoDB, but we are actually migrating due to some limitation of the GCP equivalent of serverless into actually Docker and Kubernetes. What interesting project over there recently is a transfer to hexagonal architecture, actually follow some method of design for this service, and that Peter can actually add a nice talk, which we're probably gonna actually publish in recent future. Very briefly about the team structure. This is one of the, we call it tribe. So those teams that are under my supervision, we call it, there are four teams which creating a full stack tribe. We have 2 Python backend teams, which are touching also Go and working on the 2 domains. So those are the verticals, and the horizontals are more like a technology in terms of like a front end versus backend. One of the team is JavaScript team, which is like a completely full stack, as there are people touching front end and back end, and mobile teams working in iOS and Android together. Those are the very brief introduction to Ancillaries. As Tobias has a similar statement, I don't have a hiring slide over here, but it doesn't mean we are not interested in the people who wants to have a challenges in the complex flows, microservices, and heavy monitoring, even like that. That's pretty much fun over there. You can reach me on KU3O, which is my handle on many social networks. I sometimes registered many years ago, but definitely on Twitter, you can reach me over there. And that's it all from me. I'm gonna give word back to Peter, who's gonna, again, moderate this very nicely, and I like it so far.